ago, Native Americans crossed the Lines Bridge to come to America. They settled and formed groups called tribes. Later, people called explorers came from other countries to check out this land. There were explorers like Columbus, who thought he had discovered America, but really he had found the Bahamas. When these explorers went back to their home countries, they told people about this new land. Some of the first immigrants were pilgrims. They came to America for religious freedom. African Americans were brought against their will on slave ships to America. They were sold at slave auctions and worked on plantations. Other Spanish and European immigrants continued to arrive in America. They came for many reasons. They wanted a new life. Some wanted religious freedom, to have better jobs and more food, and get away from leaders of their home countries. Many of these immigrants were craftsmen who worked in trade that they learned in their home country. In 1787, after the Revolutionary War, the Constitution was written about our new country. It was the rules of the United States. Many people were worried that it didn't tell anything about people's rights and freedom. So they added the Bill of Rights. It is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. In the 1800s through the 1900s was a time of many new inventions. This caused a boom in business, putting many craftsmen out of business, but opened many factories and cities. People called pioneers also started moving westward to new farmlands. Slavery continued and the Civil War started in 1861, lasting for 4 long, miserable years. Abraham Lincoln gave the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 to stop slavery, but it didn't work, so he made the 13th Amendment to the Constitution that said no more slavery. The Civil War ended at the same time, but many people in the South did not like it, so they started Jim Crow laws, which was the beginning of segregation. Blacks and whites couldn't drink out of the same drinking fountains, sit together in buses or in theaters. And sharecropping was also happening. After slavery, many blacks went to work for landowners since they couldn't afford their own land. These landowners used to be masters. They expected the black people to harvest the crops and give them half the money. At the same time, black men were fighting for the right to vote, and when they finally got to with the 15th Amendment, but they had to pay poll taxes, literacy tests, and they warned them about violence if they tried to vote. Many African Americans used their talents to stand up for rights during segregation. Ruby Bridges was the first black children to go to an all-white school. Martin Luther King Jr. gave many famous speeches and led many peaceful protests. Jackie Robinson broke the lines of color in baseball during the Civil Rights Movement. There were many sit-ins and protests for equal rights. Louis Hine was a photographer who stood up for rights of children and helped start child labor laws. Then we had people called suffragists who worked hard for voting rights of women. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton started the fight for equal rights, but never lived to see the day that women could finally vote. When Susan B. Anthony died, and Elizabeth died, Lucy Burns and Alice Ball took over the fight for women's rights, protesting President Wilson. After being in jail and mistreated, they started the hunger strike that led them to freedom. The 19th Amendment was finally passed in 1920 when Wilson finally gave in. Today we continue to fight for equal rights and freedom for all.